This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit, Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Yeah, what's up? This is the most infamous Yackaveli Da DoN, and we are here with Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show, Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J, and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Yackaveli Da DoN.
Yo, what's up, man? How you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And where could people find you next, event-wise?
Right now, I'm over on the West Coast wrestling territory over in Arizona. And I plan on finishing up a couple bookings I have here. And over the first of the year, I plan on going over to Reality of Wrestling over with Booker T and join that camp and academy over there. You know, and try to climb the ladder, start from the bottom to the top.
No, I absolutely get that. And where can we find you on social media and merchandise?
Social media, you can catch me on Instagram at Yackaveli _ Da DoN, THADON _ DIOR. And basically my merchandise, I have a website. It's under construction right now. I have some t-shirts and a lot of other products coming soon. So my website will be up and running very soon. Everybody will be aware of that. And my Twitter is Yackaveli Da DoN. Also, you can find me on Twitter.
Alright, and you don't even have to go looking for those links. All those links to all your social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox.
Yes.
Alright, you work for AWA Lucha Libre. Can you tell us about your relationship with that company?
Yo, AWA, that's a great company, man. It's actually where I got my start as far as my career was wrestling-wise. I started my training last year. I've always been a huge fan of wrestling, and I never really got a chance to apply myself to it because I was always an athlete, and I've played, baseball, minor league baseball, and a lot of other things like that. So what happened was, and I started training at AWF, the Arizona Wrestling Federation in Arizona, in Phoenix, and that's where I started my training. My trainer was LT Lawrence Tyler, and he's a great trainer also over there at their federation. They have a nice federation over there, promotion going. That's the Arizona Wrestling Federation. But to make a long story short, I had to take a break due to some family issues. One of my older brothers passed, so I went back home to go deal with the family. But my friends was like, "Yo, we got you booked, ready to go. And when you want to come over here and join AWA, the promoters like you over here." And so they started booking me for some shows, and everything's been doing good. We also have an event tomorrow out in Arizona also, and I'm supposed to do a guest appearance there. It's unexpected guest appearance, we'll come backstage and wreak some havoc, you know what I mean? So, yes. Yeah, with my boy Papi Chulo, and he's an up-and-coming independent wrestler also.
I'm sorry for your loss as well.
Yes, thank you.
So, you had mentioned going to Reality of Wrestling. Are you already in contact to go down there, or is it are you starting to set that up?
Yes, well, when I first saw that promotion over there, I was really intrigued by it. I liked how Booker T has it set up. He has a nice setup down there. A lot of wrestlers, nice talented wrestlers coming out of the Texas area. And I kind of was like, okay, well, I was trying to figure out my way, which route should I go with my career, like that would be more beneficial for me to get where I need to be, because everybody's saying I have a pretty good chance over there in reality of wrestling because of my persona, Yackaveli Da DoN, kind of fits the urban kind of, hip hop culture a little bit, and along with the wrestling. And what I did, I've talked to a couple people over there, and I've let them know that I plan on coming over there after the first of the year, so I can further my career with this wrestling independent wise, and hopefully we'll see how things go over reality of wrestling. But as far as my mind is pretty much set. I know I'll do pretty good over there as long as I go in there and work hard, stay dedicated, train when I'm supposed to, and be wherever I'm supposed to be to wrestle. Everything should go how it's supposed to go,
Yeah. You kind of already mentioned it, but what kind of made you choose reality of wrestling besides, all the other wrestling promotions out there? Especially, obviously there's some in California or maybe closer to you.
Yeah, I'm open to work with any of those promotions, but I live in New York, in Queens, New York, so it's like it's a lot of promotions and stuff over there also. But due to me starting my training just last year, I gotta get my name out there to get booked in a lot of these other promotions. Which is
Right.
I've been in contact with a couple of promotions in California. California, and a couple other state promotions also. But I think in my mind, as far as me going over the reality of wrestling and polishing up my skills and my ring persona and charisma and everything, it would be a good look for me to go over there. They have credible school, you know what I mean? And it'll look good on my resume as far as me coming out of that camp and with my talent and then with all the great trainers over there and all the great talented wrestlers they have over there. It would kind of mix with what I'm trying to do with my career, and that way I would be able to go other places, with me setting my mark over reality of wrestling, Yackaveli's name and ring bells everywhere else. So it shouldn't be hard to get booked over in other promotions,
Right. No,
Yes, so that's yes.
Now you mentioned you're from New York. How did you start training and end up in Arizona?
What happened was I was in my neighborhood in Queensbridge in New York, where I live in Queens, and one of my partners, he brought Tito Santana to our neighborhood around, like, I would say about 2013ish, I would say. And he had his own wrestling promotions. I can't think of the name of it right now on the top of my head now, but he goes by Danger 730, and he grew up in Queensbridge, which is a neighborhood that's very legendary around the world. A lot of rappers like the rapper Nas and the rappers Mobb Deep, which are a lot of the guys. We're all from the same block. Like the block I lived on, that's the block where Mobb Deep came up on. So make a long story short, it's a lot of talent that comes out of Queensbridge, and he brought Tito Santana to our neighborhood for an event. He was wrestling for an independent company there, and I always, been a wrestling fan as a kid. But how you kind of grow out of it a little bit. Like I said, I start playing baseball and doing mixed martial arts and stuff like that. And I kind of like fell out of the wrestling scene. But as I got older, I'm like, I always respected the business. And when I was young as a kid, I had a special relationship with the late great Stu Hart, Bret the Hitman Hart's father, and his mother, Miss Helen Hart, because Bret the Hitman Hart was one of my favorite wrestlers coming up as a kid. And I was living in California at the time, going to school with my grandparents. They lived out in Pasadena, California, out in LA County. So make a long story short, I always wanted to become a wrestler, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I was sitting around, I'm hearing Gorilla Monsoon talk about Stu Hart a lot and figuring out who this Stu Hart was and the dungeon and listening to superstars of wrestling, listening to the commentators, and I always did my research as a kid. So what I did, I called 411 from California to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, man, and asked for the residence of Stu Hart. And the phone number was a direct number, surprisingly, to the Hart family house. Me not expecting, I'm expecting this to be like a wrestling school or something, which was where the dungeon was at, the Hart house. So
Yeah.
to make a long story short, now was
No, don't make it short.
yes,
I want to
yeah,
know all of this.
yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, but okay. So what happened was, I'm like maybe 13, 14, 15 at the time. This is around the time when Bret Hart started doing his singles matches, when him and Neidhart was going, he was doing a tag team, and then he started doing his singles matches. But make a long story short, again, I called a Hart House just to see like where it would take me as a kid, just wanted to be interested in the wrestling business. Because as a kid, I understood the business. I love the athleticism of everything and everything with the wrestling. But I always was intrigued with the business and traveling and being able to go around the world competing and putting on shows and make people crowd, just entertaining crowds. So I called this phone number in Canada, and it's Miss Helen Hart. And I'm like, hello, how you doing? I introduced myself and I let her know who I am and everything. And here's this kid is calling from California, and she took the time out, and I let her know that I was a fan of Bret Hart and how I was aware of Owen Hart. God bless his soul. He was the Blue Blazer at the time, and he was just coming to the WWF, and I knew of certain wrestlers that was in WWF at the time that came out of the dungeon, like Bad News Allen, God bless his soul also, which is Bad News Brown.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys came out of the dungeon. So I was asked Miss Stu Hart like about how to become a wrestler and this and that and that and that. So she ends up putting Mr. Stu Hart on the telephone. And we used to have our conversations, and I would really ask him like, what do I need to do to become a wrestler when I'm at the age to become a wrestler and start training. So he's telling me all kind of stories about how big Bret. He's asking me how big I am and at my age and this and that and that. He's okay, yeah. Well, Bret Hart was about 155, 60 pounds at his, like telling me everything and how to get my neck strong and telling me certain things to do. And he asked me what type of sports do I play. I said I play everything, and he's telling me, okay, you sound like a good athlete, you sound like a good kid, and he really respected me as a kid, being interested in wrestling, and not just calling trying to get in touch with Bret Hart. I was calling inquiring about how I can be a part of this business. You know what I mean? Like the other kid, can I talk to Bret Hart or this and that? That never came out of my mouth. I called there asking how can I be involved and how can I come up there and train in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which was officially my plan to graduate from high school and go train in the dungeon, but me playing football and baseball, and my stepfather heard me telling one of my buddies over the phone, like yo, I'm gonna graduate, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just let baseball go, let football go, and everything, and just go to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and go train with Mr. Hart, because all my friends were aware of me in contact with Stu Hart, because I would always brag about it. And Mondays everybody would see Bret on the weekends wrestling, or SummerSlam when he won the belt for Mr. Perfect. God bless. That was one of my favorite matches. And Miss Helen Hart would send me 8x10s in a big yellow envelope every time the WWE, I'll call it WWE, but would send out a new 8x10s every time they came out with new pictures of superstars. She always made sure she had Bret sign an 8x10 for me, and she would send it directly to my grandmother's house in California in a big yellow envelope with the address of the Hart House. I can still remember the it was 435 Patina Place on the stamp that she put on the envelope, and the Foothill Athletic Club or something like that is what it said. And I would take those pictures of school and show everybody, like, look, this is from Bret Hart directly, and everybody's like, nah, it's from a fan club. I'm like, nah, that's not from a fan club. That's directly from the Hart House. You know what I mean? So everybody was aware of that. So my step pops told me, said, boy, you not gonna be at the time. You had to be real big to be a wrestler. You know, around that era. And my step pops told me, said, yo, you're not gonna be real that big to be a wrestler. You're very athletic, and I know you can do all of that stuff and this and that and that. But you got baseball scouts and football scouts calling the house about college and major league scouts for minor league baseball and this and that calling here. You're talking about being a wrestler, and he kind of woke me up. So that's when I threw the wrestling out the window around back that time, and later on in life. I thought about it and I said, well, let me get my training. And when I saw my buddy break Tito Santana to my neighborhood in Queens, that's when I was like, oh, and I'm seeing how they're in the ring maneuvering. I'm like, I can do that. I still can do that. You know what I mean? And it kind of intrigued me. And around that time, I was talking to him. I said, how can I get involved with this? But I was, doing music and producing music and things like that. And I really didn't have time to train. So finally, years later, I said, you know what, this wrestling is my calling. It was my first love before anything, before the baseball, the football, the music. Wrestling was my kind of saved my life as a kid. It kept me in front of the TV when things were, when the neighborhood was not too good, you know what I mean? But I said, okay, let me give it a try. So that's when I started training. I came to Arizona, and I have a sister that lived in Arizona, and that's how I found the school out in Arizona to start training last year at AWF. And that's how I got in contact with the guys who run the promotion, a couple of trainers, and a couple of wrestlers. And there was a couple of schools out here, promotions out here in Arizona I thought about, but I decided to go with AWF. It was kind of convenient, and I did that, and then that's how I ended up right to this day, in the world of professional wrestling. You know what I mean?
That's just incredible. And I have so many follow-up questions to that. Have you ever thought man, what could have been? You could have been one of the last people in the Heart Dungeon.
I think about that all the time. When I see Natalia and the Wilson kid and all those guys. And right now, it's funny how you're speaking because they have a guy right now that I'm in contact with, and his name is Mo Jabari, Kid Chocolate. He just made an appearance on WWE and AEW, and I'm interested in AEW. That's my goal right there. But make a long story short, Mo Jabari, I'm in contact with him also to this day, and also Blade Hart, which is Bret Hart's son, and they have the dungeon, the promotion, the dungeon wrestling promotion going now. They kind of brought Stampede back. Mo Jabari's one of the guys that kind of the last proteges to come out of that camp into this day. So it's I still have a good chance because we're in contact to this day, and I've got a few comments from Blade Hart on my Instagram about Yackaveli, looking good in your matches and keep this up. So it's I always think about that, I could have been one of the last, but it's never, you never say never. It's still time, and I still can go train with those guys because, like I said, Mo Jabari, and the way I got in contact with him, I posted a picture that I found of me and Bret Hart, and I was in high school. And this is back in the day when I think it was the IC Pro, when they were doing the bodybuilding, mixing it with the wrestling and stuff like that. And I met Bret Hart in Long Beach, California for the first time. Well, I've always never missed a match when he wrestled at the LA Sports Arena. I was always there, but I never could get a chance to talk to him and let him know, look, I'm the kid that your mom has you sign those 8x10s for. And I never got until I got to Long Beach, and I saw him at this event that they were having for the supplements for the bodybuilders and stuff like that. And I met Bret Hart there. I met Vince McMahon there also. And this funny thing, I shook Vince McMahon's hand that day and looked him in his eyes and told him at 15, I said, one day I'm gonna work for you. And I remember the look he gave me in his face, yo, this kid is serious. And that was the same day I met Bret, and I have that picture to this day. I posted that picture on my Instagram, and it kind of went viral a little bit. And also did a freestyle or something. I was doing a mixtape, and I did a freestyle with the Hitman freestyle, and kind of did some things that went a little viral in Canada also. So Mo Jabari and a couple of the guys from Calgary, they contacted, yo, I see a picture with you and the man. I'm like, yeah, that's Bret Hart, the Excellence of Execution. He's like, yo, I'm good friends with Bret Hart, and he helped train me, helped me school me on the business and like a lot of things that he's doing now, and things are working out for him right now, and I want to salute him for that too. So he was an inspiration also for me recently to like say, okay, well, I think let me give this a try. And so he's, besides my friend Danger 730 from Queensbridge, and I give it to Mo Jabari, Kid Chocolate. He's one of the inspirations that made me last year say, okay, let me give this a try, let me give this a chance. I know I can do it. So that's when you do anything, it puts your mind to. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And obviously the dungeon rest. Obviously, you have your mindset on reality of wrestling right now. But is Calgary and competing up there and training up there kind of like an unfinished business last full circle moment that you're trying to complete?
Yes, well, when my career steadily, when Yackaveli, becomes a household name, around in independent circuits, and I start climbing the ladder. I plan on making my way to Calgary circuits, cause just to be able to have it on my resume, because it's something I wanted to do since day one, and since it's just iconically, like ironic, like it's really funny how they just started the dungeon wrestling over again. It was a Stampede. I was told though by somebody that, oh yeah, they're gonna bring back Stampede back at this and that, and they brought it back. And I sat back, and now they're doing a good thing up there. But like I said, it would be a good look for Yackaveli Da DoN to finally get a chance to go to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and leave my mark up there, because it's always been an inspiration. The reason why I'm a wrestler to this day, and I was one of the places that had my mindset, man. I tried to make my grandmother's living room look like the dungeon. Like I had my mindset to go into the dungeon. And I hear all the stories, and it gives me the chills right now to this day when I see like interviews, with Mr. Stu Hart, the late great Mr. Stu Hart. When I see interviews, it gives me the chills, and I hear his voice on YouTube and certain things like Bret Hart specials and stuff, because it's like, oh, I actually used to talk. I used to have. I went as far as when I was a kid. I went as far as having a conversation we had on a recorder. My grandmother had tapes laying around. I guess she used to record her church sermons on, and I used to find her tapes laying around. I used to set up her tape recorder on another phone in another room and take that phone off the hook and put that phone over the tape recorder and talk to Mr. Stu Hart on another phone and record our conversations. So I used to have to tell my friends, and my friends would believe me. I like, oh, listen to this. And as growing up, I lost all that stuff, and same thing with all the 8x10s. I had all those 8x10s for years, and I had old programs called Body Press that were programs from back in the days when Stampede Wrestling, when Bret and all his brothers were wrestling, and and all the other guys. And I had old programs that I guess when she would put the 8x10s in the envelopes, I guess she would put they had a lot of those programs laying around from back in the days. And it intrigued me because had those programs and looking, and I'm like, okay, this is actually programmed from a Stampede event. And I've seen interviews where Bret Hart said, as a kid, he started off selling those programs in front of the place they wrestle at up there,
No, absolutely.
I really wish I had a lot of that stuff though, but I lost it. It's when you move, when you get older, and I had it for a lot of years too, but it just gets lost in the wind.
And I can't imagine what's on those recordings, and obviously some things that could really help you in your wrestling career right now.
Yes, that's all I asked him about. I said, well, how do I get my back strong? How do I get my shoulders strong? And the main thing to this day, he always stressed to me was get your neck strong. That's what he used to say. And anybody hear this interview and knew Stu Hart or had any type of relationship with him, they would know that he would always say, get your neck strong, work on your neck, do a lot of neck bridges, and he would tell me all that. Just make sure you get your neck strong. That's the main thing in professional, is your neck.
Now, you mentioned, obviously Tito Santana. What kind of went into that conversation with Tito?
Oh, that was, I didn't get a chance to talk to Tito that day, and he came. But what happened was, it was the event, and I actually have a picture of that also, but I didn't post it on Instagram. But what it was, they had the special event for the neighborhood in Queensbridge, and Tito Santana he did a guest appearance with my buddy Danger 730, and they were wrestling for a promotion I think in Bronx, New York or Brooklyn. And what happened was, there was so much going on that, the kids bum rushed Tito Santana. They were on him. It's like they rushed and talking to him. And so it's like I didn't really get a chance to talk with Tito. But it was funny because I was telling my friend Danger, I was like, yo, who you going to bring next year? I said, bring Bret Hart next year. And this and that. He's like, oh, yeah, that's what I told him. I said, bring Bret Hart. And it's funny because one of my buddies just sent me a flyer into my Instagram that Bret Hart just made an appearance over in Brooklyn, New York at some promotion. And they thought I was over in New York. Like, yo, your boy's going to be at this promotion. You should go over there. I said, oh, I'm over on the West Coast now. So I plan on, right now, Yackaveli plans on touching every promotion, every city, every state. And that's, you know what I mean? So whoever was willing, I'm willing to do it. So you're going to hear a lot from Yackaveli Da DoN in 2023.
All right. What can you tell us about 10 things that require zero talent?
10 things requires. I didn't catch. I'm sorry.
10 things that require zero talent.
10 things that requires my talent. Well, you have to have. First of all, you have to have dedication. You really have to have dedication to be a wrestler, because it's not like you're just gonna wake up the next day and say, "Oh, I want to be a wrestler." You know what I mean? You have to be physically fit, mentally fit. Like I would say.
Well, you posted something on Instagram. 10 things that require zero talent: being on time, work ethic, effort.
Yeah, it's work ethic, being on time. I can't think of it. It's funny because I remember posting that and I couldn't think of it by heart. I know exactly the post you're talking about though.
I can't think.
Yes.
Being on time, work ethic, effort, body language, energy, attitude, passion, being coachable, doing extra, and being prepared.
That's it. I don't think any better words can be put any better words than that.
No, absolutely.
Those are the guidelines right there to get to the top.
No, and I identify with that because having zero talent is kind of what inspired me to actually create this show. So,
Right, this show is awesome. When I saw when you invited me to be on the show, I was excited about being on here because I did the research. I looked at it. I was okay. Yes, it's nice. I saw a couple of wrestlers I've worked with, trained with, also on there. I saw a wrestler. I trained with her. Brittany Brooks. I trained with her over at AWF, and she, did a couple of events with her at AWA also early in the year. And a couple other wrestlers. I definitely was happy that you invited me to be on the show.
Oh, absolutely, and we love Brittany on the show as well. I can't wait for her to come back because
Brittany works hard. Everybody, I'm gonna tell you that she works hard. Nothing's been handed to her. Being a female in this industry, in this entertainment world, in this sport, it's kind of hard. But she works hard when she works. That's one thing about it. She does work.
Absolutely.
She'll be a great star one day also.
Now, can you tell us about the Bret Hart Rap?
Excuse me?
The Bret Hart Rap.
Okay, well, what happened was I did a freestyle. I was working on a mixtape like maybe a year ago. Respect Off It None. You can hear it on YouTube. You can go to Yackaveli TV, which is a YouTube channel. I have a couple freestyles on it. I do music and stuff like that. So I did a freestyle. It's called Yackaveli the Hitman Freestyle, and you can find it on YouTube. I could actually send the link to your Instagram, so you'll have it direct. Also, I can do that for you, so you won't have to search for it so hard. But it's just a freestyle, and basically, it's like just the excellence, execution, just basically just going in hip hop, just raw hip hop. That's all it is raw hip hop. You know what I mean? and it's kind of like tribute to Bret Hart because they have the cover of the artwork for the song has Bret with his back turned and it says Hitman on one of his big leather jackets, pink and black leather jackets he had when he had Hitman on the back of the jacket. So that's the artwork. So that's kind of intrigues you from the gate. It makes you want to listen to it from there. And I kind of mention him a little bit, and then the end of the song you can hear like a outro with him, the excellence of execution, blah, blah, and he says some things, you know what I mean? So it's a cool song, cool little song. Everybody likes it in Canada. I see it's getting a lot of views and stuff, so I think I'm gonna shoot a video for it. But I've been so busy doing a wrestling thing, I kind of shied away from the hip hop. But I mean, I love hip hop, but the wrestling right now is what I'm focused on right now. Like I said, my main focus at the end of the day, my next step is reality wrestling. From reality wrestling, I plan on trying to get into the AEW. I like the AEW. I think Yackaveli would fit in perfect over there.
And obviously, what's keeping you away from that is pro wrestling. Isn't that a good problem to have? No.
Yes, I love it. Like I said, the music is cool, but like I always did music, but I love the wrestling better because it's like requires a lot of training and it's more for the kids also. Like, the music is cool also, but it's like sometimes nowadays the music can like stir kids wrong a little bit here and there, you know what I mean? So it's like the wrestling is like entertainment, like you said, wrestling with entertainment, that's what it is. The music is entertainment too. But wrestling is a little different world, and I think that wrestling is my last calling. And I think that I want to stick to what everybody's saying. They say I had an it factor, so I'm gonna go ahead and work hard and continue to polish up and do what I'm told to do to take it to the next level. Yackaveli have a championship belt around his waist real soon,
Absolutely. Are we going to get a freestyle rap of any other inspired wrestlers?
I don't, not maybe I like who I like right now who are out that they shout out a lot of wrestlers is the Griselda family, West Side Gun, Conway, and Benny the Butcher. They're big wrestling fans, and it's in like guys like uh Action Bronson. These guys like right now. That's why I mentioned AEW because they're AEW actually. They are they're intervening with the wrestlers. They're letting the hip hop world involve with wrestling. So like I like that match recently with Action Bronson and the wrestler Hook against the guys they wrestled against. Like on the last AEW segment, like a couple months ago,
Yeah.
they had. So yeah. So but with me, I try not to. I may not inquire a lot of my music though with my wrestling though. I kind of keep that separated. So it's like I like Yackaveli Da DoN. He just wants to come out there and beat guys up, you know what I mean? So, so it's like I've kind of I don't really. A lot of people like, yo, we should put your music with the wrestling. I was like, you know what? It sounds cool, but like a lot of people do it, and I want to kind of be different from everybody else. Like not saying that you won't hear my music being played or something like that, but I want to keep my wrestling career and music separated because it's like a different identity for me. Like it's different. I'm like a when super guy. Not come out, a guy goes into the booth and that's like a whole nother identity. Like I don't want to link my wrestling with the music. I just want that. I want to have my own identity in the wrestling because I want to take the wrestling further. I see a big future in the wrestling, and I want to take it as far as I can take it. The music I've been in, did that with the music is cool, and it's like the music's never gonna go anywhere. I can always record a song, and I can always post it, and there's no money in the music nowadays. It's like, what I mean? So it's like, it's money in the wrestling. You just got to work hard to get where you got to get. So in order to get it, I'm willing to put that grind in. So I don't see anything stopping me right now. If I just focus in tunnel vision, just in between those ropes and the square circle is my home right now. It's what I'm focused on, and nothing's going to get in Yackaveli's way,
No, I absolutely understand that, and I actually recommend that. You don't want to mix those two worlds up. You would prefer to keep them separate.
Yes, indeed. Especially the type of music the music I do is kind of like more street. Also, it's not commercial music at all. It's kind of like hardcore a little bit. But so I don't want to put that into the wrestling world, and then that's a whole different world. You know what I mean? So I just keep everything wrestling. You know what I mean? Everything wrestling. Even though a lot of people know me as being a MC, doing music also too. So, but a lot of my guys from my neighborhood are really rooting for me with the wrestling also, because everybody that knows me knows that the first thing ever when Yackaveli was a kid was wrestling. We putting guys in sleeper holes, Boston Crabs, and like, oh, listen, we had our own little wrestling federation we started as kids, and so everybody knows that was my first love from day one. So this like really has everybody like, yo, you actually wrestling now. It's like, I remember when you used to do this, you used to do that. Nah, they telling me stuff I don't remember. They telling me, oh, I remember you used to be in class in school, you run up and grab so and so in the sleeper hole up from behind. I'm like, oh, word. I said, yeah. And they telling me that now, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember doing that. They said, nah, I remember you grabbed so and so in the sleeper. You didn't let him go for about 5 minutes. And I'm like, for real? No. So it's crazy. My finisher is similar to a sleeper hold. It's similar to, I call it the 187. It's similar to the $1 Million Dream. It has a twist to it though, like how the Ted DiBiase had his whole, the $1 Million Dream. It's a similar twist, and I call that the Yackaveli 187. So you guys are gonna see a lot of that. I'm gonna put a lot of guys to sleep. My last match, I actually put my opponent to sleep with that. So.
Was that kind of something you thought about, even before you entered the wrestling world, is what you would do, like finisher-wise?
Yes, it was. I always thought about, okay, what would my finisher be? It was either the Boston Crab or a sleeper type hold. The reason why is because I always wanted to finish a hold that I can finish an opponent that's bigger than I am, that I don't have to lift up. Or, I'm 160 pounds, 165 pounds wet. So it's like, if I was facing a guy that's maybe, I know I wouldn't be able to, do a certain maneuver to, then I'm always told myself my finisher would always be a move I can do anybody. Like, it doesn't matter how big you are or whatever, how strong you are. If I get you in it, I get you in it. I'm a submission guard. I'm a submission wrestler. That's one. My Yackaveli, he likes to make opponents submit. You know what I mean? I'll take a win by pinfall, but I like to submit. I like submission holds.
Submission wrestlers are kind of underappreciated nowadays because everybody, are doing the high spots and the high rest moves. So, it is appreciated that you're going down that road.
Yes, and I was aware of that also. It's funny how you mentioned that. I thought about that also. I'm like, a lot of guys do a lot of flat. My trainer told me, he said, my trainer LT, he told me, pull me to the side sometime earlier last year when I started my training. He's like, look, but you're gonna do things a little different, man. You're gonna be looked at as an unconventional wrestler. And I didn't understand what he meant at that. He was like, because you look kind of thugged out, everybody's gonna look at you as like a thug and this and that and that. This is how it is, and you don't have to do all the extras and stuff like, as far as all the lucha moves and all the acrobatic. And I can do acrobatic stuff. I can do moonsaults and all that right now. If I can do, all that if I wanted to, but you're not gonna see a lot of that from Yackaveli. You'll see just a lot of basic holds from me, like a lot of basic, really maybe kind of 90s, 80s, 90s style of wrestling from me, from Yackaveli, because that's a lot what I grew up on watching, and a lot I respect and love all the new moves the guys are doing, all the creative moves and stuff like that. But you're not gonna see a lot of that from me though. Like, you'll see the basics, just go out there shooter style, submitting brawlers type style. I got compared to a lot. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm tooting my own horn, but a lot of guys say I have a savage demeanor of how I could move around in the ring. Like, oh, that's that savage, like Randy Savage stuff. Like, I guess because I like to come off the top. I have a maneuver where if I have an opponent outside the ring, I'll come off the top rope on the outside of the ring with axe handle. Savage is famous for that.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of my favorite moves as a kid. I would jump off my grandmother's dresser or something with the axe handle, one of my cousins or something. That was always in my family. I'll axe handle somebody of anything. So I remember, I think the last match I did with AWA, I axe handled a guy, my opponent, the outsider, at the Stratus, and I got a lot of pop from it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Yackaveli don't go to the top rope a lot either, so it's like, okay, a couple of my top rope maneuvers will be my axe handles. So you'll see me come up the top rope with axe handles here and there. A lot of kind of savage moves. I would say my style is a mixture of my top 5 favorite wrestlers, which are like Bret the Hitman Hart, Mr. Perfect, Dynamite Kid, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and it's like a tie with my 5th one. I would say Shawn Michaels. I'll give it to Shawn Michaels. So like a lot of those guys I watched growing up with like anything with the wrestling wise, selling or anything they're doing, I've like kind of adopted certain things from every one of those guys. They were all my favorites, especially Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect was my favorite heel. Him and Ravishing Rick Rude as a kid. You know, where Bret was I've been a Bret fan even when he was a heel, when he first came into the WWE also, but when later on, like heel wise, you know, Mr. Perfect was one of my favorite heels, and Ravishing Rick Rude, and how they used to come out and just real cocky attitudes and stuff like that. You know, you see a little bit of that in Yackaveli, and so it's like that's only because I've watched them. And like Savage, I love Savage. He's an all around, you know, promo guy and all around athlete. And it was funny because Savage is one of my favorites. I found out he had a baseball background also, and that's why I was like, yeah. And it's like funny, you know, I was 15, 16, 17 years old, like trying to play ball, and I was 14, 15. I played for the Atlanta Braves scout team. In high school, I was one of the top prospects in my area in San Gabriel Valley for baseball. So, like I said, baseball was my thing, and I wanted to be a wrestler, but baseball was more a reality for me, where I thought, okay, I will maybe be a better baseball player than a better wrestler in my size and how big I will be. And when I've grown up, you know, so I took it to the baseball route, and I started hearing about Macho Man later on. You know, you didn't really hear about that as a kid, about him playing baseball and stuff. But now later on, I heard he had a baseball background. I'm like, okay, and that sounds like me. You know, it's like I play ball too, and it's like, okay. But good thing is that wrestling, it requires athleticism, and if you're an athletic person, you can make it in wrestling if you just have to have the ambition, you know, the ambition to make it, you know. So it's like wrestling is not built for everybody though. Like you really have to have a love for it. You have to have love of business. You have to just love the people you're around. You have to really wrestling is a 24/7 thing. Like we miss holidays. You're on the road a lot. And you miss birthdays, Christmases, and I'm aware of all that. You know, and I'm just now starting out, but I know about what's going on. I'm aware of what's going on because I've been schooled. I've been told, and I'm a student of the game also to this day. Like if I'm not training or physically involved myself, I'm always online doing some type of research, watching something or some seminar, or some guy talking about something. You know what I mean? I used to watch a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of things, man. To be a student of the game, to help me out, to better me. That's for anything I did, always as a kid. You know, that's how I ended up. Like what kids as that in real back in the day was he was smart enough to try to figure out to get the heart house, the family house. I had to figure out my way. I said, how am I gonna figure out my way in to this wrestling? I gotta get a direct contact to this heart dungeon they keep talking about. I kept hearing Gorilla Monsoon talk about it. Then, you know, you're reading about it in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, you know, and all the magazines and stuff like that. So I started doing my research, and I said, okay, I want to be involved with that. And it's funny that I'm involved now, and I'm loving it, though, you know.
Definitely. And you know, obviously everybody that you know that you're kind of taking from a little bit, you know, those are not bad guys to, you know, take from. I mean, when it comes to wrestling, wise.
Yes, there's all athletes, all 5 of those guys athletes. Not taking nothing away from any other wrestlers. Also, I respect and have the utmost respect for any wrestler that steps in the ring. You know, whether they're a jobber, a worker, or whatever they do. They're out there to feed their family, whatever they're trying to do. So I respect anybody that's out there doing what they have to do to put food on their table or to pay their bills. So, but those five guys right there, like top the athletes to me. Like, and I look at myself as an athlete, and the stuff they do, I know I'm capable of doing also, and I'm not saying that I'm trying to copy and mimic them because I'm not saying you're gonna even see, or you're not even gonna see like a wrestling style like Bret Hart out of Yackaveli. Like you may not, you just maybe see like certain things, how certain personas, like it's like even with everybody, you won't see. You might see a certain thing, Mr. Perfect in me, or Shawn Michaels is certain things, but I'm not saying I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna wrestle like those guys. I'm not
Oh,
saying that at all. I would never take that away from them or try to mimic their style in that nature. But those are guys that motivate me that I know I can do what they do.
no, absolutely, I understand. Now it is time for that segment once again. Yackaveli Da DoN's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and real crazy and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Real story that fit that description I had so far. I remember one time how we was on the road and we trying to find a venue, but the GPS keeps sending us other places, and then we're trying to, like, I like to try to keep kayfabe alive, so I don't want to get out the car, so there's a lot of people there, and I'm like, yo, I don't want to get out the car, and I was actually, with the people I'm working with or something, so we're like, oh, well, I'm facing you tonight, and some people don't understand that kayfabe, they don't understand kayfabe, so it's like, I like to stick to kayfabe, so what I did, I stayed in the car while everybody went inside the venue and whatever together and whatever, and I went around the building. So by the time I go around the building, I caught myself sneaking away from everybody. A couple of the kids, they come, oh, Yackaveli, Yackaveli. So they come running to me and everything. And I told my boys, they was like, oh, yeah, nobody believes in kayfabe. And I said, well, they should believe in kayfabe. They're wrestlers trying to keep kayfabe alive. Well, they say kayfabe's dead. I'm like, well, we got to bring it back to life. We're going to resurrect kayfabe. So that was one of my stories, really, because I haven't, as far as being on the road, I still have a lot of experiences and stuff on the road to do on the road as far as being a wrestler. So that was one of the things I can mainly explain as far as that.
No, I get that.
Just being bombarded, trying to sneak into the event without being seen. So that's about to be like the only bizarre story I have so far. But I know, like you said, I'm sure it's a lot of bizarre stuff. A lot of my guys like the rig. I haven't been rigged yet though, but I don't know too much. A lot of my buddies like to rig, but I haven't been rigged like that yet. So I don't have any rib stories like that. Exciting rib stories. And they say wrestling is a big world of ribs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're in the world of pro wrestling. Even when you're not looking for them, weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen.
Yeah, a lot. So I'm prepared for it. I've heard all this. I heard a lot of stories, so I'm prepared for a lot of the stories. But me being from certain neighborhood, like I'm from the neighborhood, man. So I'm on point. Like I don't know, like people rib me. I'm gonna find out who rib me. As a kid, I used to be a real big jokester. So on certain games, you probably don't want to play with Yackaveli because my revenge is crazy. So I'm waiting for somebody to try to rib me because I'll get to the bottom of it. I will get to the bottom of it. So I'm throwing that out of my buddies right now. Y'all rib me, I'm letting y'all know. Y'all can really find out. You don't want to play that game with me. It's gonna be crazy. A rude awakening.
Can you've mentioned it a couple times already. Can you tell us about playing baseball and how far you went in that world, and maybe how did that kind of help you going into pro wrestling, if any?
Yeah, that helped me a lot. It helped me a lot. because it's funny though. It's like how when we used to travel and stuff to play baseball. I used to like seeing the wrestlers travel around. I used to be like, oh, this is how I'm gonna travel around. Either with the baseball or the wrestling. But it helped out by as far as being dedicated. Working hard be to be noticed by scouts and stuff like that. You have to stand out. Like with anything you do, you have to stand out. You have to be different from the others. You can't be average. You have to be above average. Definitely can't be below average. It's like, I mean, you can work hard enough to become average or above average and all that. You can start from below average on up. But I learned as a kid, like my grandparents, they lived in a city in Cali called Pasadena, California, which was the home of Jackie Robinson. So, like, my grandmother used to always tell me stories about Jackie Robinson and all the things he did, and there was the projects around there, the neighborhood over there also was Jackie Robinson, Kings Manor projects and stuff out there in California. A lot of things, the park is named after Jackie Robinson, so it's all we heard about was Jackie Robinson. It's funny because I went to a high school called John Muir High School in California, and Jackie Robinson attended that high school when he back in his days, and he was like way before our time. He went to this school out in California, and a lot of athletes come out of this high school, which is John Muir High School in Pasadena, California, and that's when I started playing ball. I played ball in Little League. Growing up, just wanted to play ball. My uncle, much as my mother's brother, he was a big, huge baseball fan. So, after being a fan of the Mets, New York Mets, and then the Dodgers and stuff like that, in Cali, going to the Dodger game and stuff like that, I saw the baseball. I was like, I want to play this ball. I want to play ball, But what happened was, started playing. I played Little League, and I stopped playing baseball for a couple of years, and that's when I kind of get into wrestling. As a kid, I played Little League, and after that, I'm like, okay, I started at the middle school, I'm all about wrestling, and then get to high school, I'm all about wrestling. But then when I get to high school, I'm thinking to myself, like, I got to play some type of sport in high school. My high school didn't have amateur wrestling. A lot of schools I knew of in different areas had amateur wrestling. And I actually did a little bit of amateur wrestling on the side at a little program at the YMCA, but not too long because the program got dropped, and it hurt my heart because my high school didn't have it. And I knew of Bret starting off with amateur wrestling. I knew about Kurt Hennig and all those guys starting off amateurs, wrestlers and stuff. I wanted that same background too, to say, okay, well, so I wanted to do that, but no programs, no schools or my area school district had that. So I played baseball, basketball, and football. And then when I got to high school, I strictly played football and baseball. So playing baseball, it helped me, be able to be coachable, helped me willing to know the wear and tear on your body, because baseball is a different, people don't look at baseball, but baseball is a sport to where, like football, basketball, you get little breaks in between your games. And baseball is a sport that you play every day. When you get to a certain level, like professional wise, you play every day. So it's like your body got to be in great shape to stay in that lineup, stay in that baseball lineup every day. So it kind of, baseball helped me want to keep my body in shape and just want to work out and stuff. But I was limited to certain exercises I can do with baseball, because baseball requires a different type of working out. Like, you don't want to lift too many heavy weights in baseball because it does something to your throwing and all type of stuff like that. You want to be careful of. So I didn't really get a chance to get heavy into the weights like I wanted to. When I played football, I was defensive back corner, and I thought I was Deion Sanders. Like, I played football, baseball, and I was one of the other, between Bret Hart, Deion Sanders, and guys like Ken Griffey Jr. I looked up the guys, like some wrestlers and a couple of baseball players and football players. Those was like my heroes as kids, So when I played ball, I was playing baseball, and like I said, I started getting back into baseball. And I got to high school thinking, like, okay, I got to figure out what I'm gonna do when I get older. Like, I have to figure out some way, because I know I didn't want to work a regular job. I knew as a kid, I kind of, a lot of people tell me as a kid that I always grew up with a certain spark in my eye, or like as a personality as a kid, that they kind of knew like it was either going to be entertainment, either sports or entertainment with me, like growing up, like, because I was always athletic and I always had some type of personality and charisma as a kid, and always drew people towards me and a lot of things like that. So it's it's funny how the sports entertainment with the wrestling, how everything mixes together, with the entertainment, the music, with the sports, and then with the wrestling, it all kind of blends into to mold Yackaveli who he is, because I'm used to all those qualities into wrestling also, with talking into in front of a crowd. You have to be able to talk in front of a microphone. You have to be able to perform in front of an audience. Same thing with sports. Same thing with being an artist. You have the same traveling. Everything requires the same thing. So with baseball, it kind of prepared me already for the wrestling wise. And I know I got to travel. I know I have to be in shape. I know I have to eat healthy. I know I have to get sleep here to be able to get up to catch these flights and stuff like that. So playing baseball kind of trained me for that, for the wrestling already. And so when it came to the wrestling, like everything with the wrestling is just like second nature. Like even now, it's like I'm always in a different state. Like now I'm over in Arizona now, and doing wrestling. And if I'm in a certain state, I'm there for a reason. It's for what I'm doing, for wrestling. And so, and my next stop is Texas, and from Texas, we know who, we got to see where it's from there. Hopefully it's to Florida, the AEW. We'll see what's going on. You know what I mean? But Yackaveli is focused right now, and like I said, 2023, I got a lot of plans that I'm gonna let unfold and putting together, and so all the hard work pays off. And like you said, with the baseball background, the entertainment world background, and just being a people person, man, I feel like this wrestling is my calling. I know it is. I'm very positive that it is, because there's no reason. It wouldn't be a reason. Things don't happen for a reason in life. Some people, it's never too late. And the good thing is, I'm just glad I kept myself in shape over all these years to be able to still perform and get in the ring and perform and do the things I can do and continue to do. So I stay healthy and keep my body in shape. And I can tell you, be here for a while, man. Plan on him for a while.
Alright. Can you tell us about your love of Star Wars?
Oh man, I love Star Wars, man. It's like I was like those guys right there were like before like all of that whole cast right there, the first people I knew of, like who kind of on TV for the wrestlers, like they were. But it's like I was born and like I was born a little bit. It's funny though. I mean, at that when Star Wars came out, I was a kid, like a kid. So I had all the action figures. My grandparents, I think I remember seeing it. My first thing I was intrigued with from Star Wars, it was C-3PO and R2-D2 I saw. I just wondered, I remember seeing the poster. Even to this day, I can remember like getting my first action figures and stuff like that. And to this day, I just started a collection, man. I just started collecting action figures again recently. And I'm keeping them in the packages, because back when I was a kid, my grandfather would always tell me, yo, don't you got to take care of those toys because they're gonna be worth money when you get older. But as a kid, you're not hearing that. I didn't want to hear anything about those toys. Don't take care. I'm playing with these toys, nigga. This Millennium Falcon's he's gonna crash. That's all. I wasn't hearing anything about take care of it. But I'm looking now, like, oh, I had all that stuff. But Star Wars is one of my very, very, very first loves. That was my first thing that had my mind intrigued, and kind of maybe Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill, those people like my Chewbacca. Those are like my heroes as a kid that I remember that I was mimicking being before I was on my grandmother's dresser, jumping off, doing elbows on pillows and stuffed animals, and busting my sister's stuffed animals. We used to run around. We used to run around. Me and my sister run around. She'd be Princess Leia and Luke, or I'll switch off behind. She was always Princess Leia because she's the girl, so she always had a role. But Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and to this day, I got the Boba Fett series and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I'm still watching all that stuff, and I love Star Wars, and I will forever love Star Wars. It brings back childhood memories, and like I said, just recently, it's funny how you brought that up, because I just recently started my collection. They have a wave of action figures that come out for all the different little series, like the Boba Fett series, the Mandalorian series. And when I'm in Walmart here and there, sometimes I pass through there, I just go through the toy section. I I see something that's funny, it always be the last one. You know, I got to get that. And I have a Boba Fett that I saw. I had the Obi-Wan Kenobi I saw. I just purchased the Darth Vader from the Obi-Wan Kenobi. So they have different ways and different action figures from limited edition. I just start collecting them to this day. And I see, you know what, I'm gonna have a big collection. I'm gonna show my collection on Instagram soon. I'm just trying to get enough to where I don't have a lot right now, but I'm gonna have enough to run with a display and show people my Star Wars action figure collection. But that was one of my number one things as a kid. I love Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and all the new. I like that they taking us back. Only thing sometime about what disappoints me a little bit sometime about some of the new Star Wars things that come out. It's like sometime now that it's with Disney, sometimes they take deep thought into what they doing, but then they don't really things that happen. If you're a real Star Wars fan, you know, like, oh, how did that happen? Like, how do I? Well, okay, well, Chewbacca knew Yoda already and blah. Like a lot of some stuff don't amount to me. Sometimes it kind of makes me with the new stuff. You know what I mean? Like the new things that come out. Cause I forgot which episode it was, and they showed it was like a lot of Chewbacca's and stuff like that, and it was like Yoda, and they were already intervening. Like it's no trace, it's no sign in Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back that, you know, Chewbacca knows of Yoda and all this stuff like that. And that's the only thing I don't like about some of the new stuff. They're on point with certain things, but sometimes they kind of mess it up for the real Star Wars people that really know about it. Oh, how is that possible? Are you trying to tell me that Yoda's jumped on Chewbacca's back before in the middle of a war before they intertwined before? Like that wasn't you know, nobody knew of Yoda when Luke Skywalker was going over the Dagobah system. And nobody know where he was going, like, you know what I mean? That's what I don't understand. But it's cool though. I still like what they doing, but certain things just kind of like, oh well, are they messing it up a little bit? But I like the Boba Fett series. I like that right there.
I like the Boba Fett series. I honestly I didn't like it until they brought in Mando, and everything after they brought in Mando, was great shit to me.
Right. I felt the same way about that too. Yeah, I had a feeling Mando was gonna pop up in there though somehow though.
Oh, well, they did tease it a couple times, but it kind of went from the Boba Fett series to Mandalorian season 2.5.
It felt like that. It did feel like that. It felt like that. So I was thinking, I said, yo, this almost feel like we watching Mando again. Like this is Boba Fett. I said, word, it did feel like that though, right? It did feel that though. I was thinking the same thing.
When you're watching the movies, are you going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or are you going 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3?
I start from number one. I start from one. I start from one.
So Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Start from. Sometimes I do, but I try to. Like I said, a lot of I just recently did that like some years ago. Like a lot of that when they first came out, like Phantom Menace and all that stuff came out. I really wasn't. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be disappointed. So it took me a long time. People were like, "You should watch it." And really, my favorite one is I forgot. It's the last one. The last one is when when Obi-Wan and Anakin had that last battle. When Emperor came and got Anakin out of the lava. That's my favorite one out of all those new ones. Like a lot, I didn't watch a lot. Like to this day, I still haven't. And I love Star Wars to death, but I still haven't even went back and watched thoroughly all the ones when Anakin was a kid and he was like racing those little spaceships and stuff. Like I really did the speeders or whatever. I haven't even really watched. I've seen clips of it, but I haven't even really sat and watched those because it's just kind of weird to me. But I need to do that though.
Oh well, I mean you gotta kind of watch Phantom Menace because people hate on Phantom Menace, but everything all the repercussions of everything that happened in every single Star Wars is directly linked to the battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul.
Right. Yeah, I've watched that one though. I've seen a little bit of that, the battle. Like I said, pieces of that I've seen, but like as far as when the ones when Anakin was a little younger, I like a lot. But that's even like I start watching when I watch the whole movie, and then it's like I'll watch it later. But I've seen that battle and stuff, and like I got the understanding what they doing. Or I definitely got the understanding. But I'm gonna sit down and watch it one day when I got time. On a recover day, I'm gonna sit and watch all of them lined up together.
Well, I definitely recommend that. I'm a big Star Wars fan myself.
Yeah, I want to go to Disneyland. Like that's on my on my bucket list. I'm trying to go to Disneyland in California or Florida. I like the one in California though, but they got the whole Star Wars theme over there, and they got the Millennium Falcon over there. You can go in and take a tour in the Millennium Falcon, and they got stormtroopers, Kylo Ren walking around and stuff like that. So I want to go check that out.
Oh, definitely. I haven't been myself. I haven't been to Disney for a really long time myself.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but the COVID kind of shut it down. But I think everything's back running now, so I'm gonna try to make. I know there's a lot of wrestling promotions in Anaheim, so hopefully I'll have a wrestling match in California in Orange County. I'll go to Disneyland while I'm out there.
A double agenda there.
Yeah, gotta kill two birds with one stone. Yeah.
Exactly. Alright, it's time for the colossal question. They're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on the Yackaveli movie soundtrack?
First 3 songs on the Yackaveli soundtrack will probably be Only the Survival of the Fittest by Mobb Deep.
Okay.
Then it would be The World Is Yours by Nas. And the third song will be maybe It's a Cruel Summer by Barana Rama.
That's interesting last one.
Yeah, I love that song. It's a cruel summer leaving me here. I love that song, yeah.
No, I dig it. And those are a solid 3.
Yeah, that song, I love that song. Yep. That'd be the soundtrack of Yackaveli's movie right there.
Do you lock it in?
Huh?
Do you lock it in?
What's that? I can't hear you.
Do you confirm that those are your 3 songs? Do you lock it in?
yes, that's confirmed. That's nothing in the coffin right there.
Alright. Now that we got the soundtrack down, because everybody knows you do the soundtrack before you cast anything, who plays Yackaveli? And you can't say yourself because you are legally obligated to make a Stanley, a cameo.
Okay, so who will play me?
Yes.
I would probably have my nephew play as Yackaveli, or one of my little cousins play me. He'd probably be able to nail that to the T.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'll let one of my cousins play Yackaveli.
And obviously, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people in your movie, and who would play them?
3 people in my movie. Who will play them? Well, I would try to have. I can have big names in my movie also, right?
Yeah, anybody you want.
I would definitely have an appearance by my boy Bret Hart in that movie also somehow. He would have to be in the movie, you know what I mean? Bret would be in that movie. It would be like a scene where he would be just himself, you know, like later on I finally get a chance to tell him the story about how he helped me as a kid and helped me get the ambition and to do what I want to do. So it'll be appearance by Bret Hart. And I would say...
I'm assuming Bret is playing Bret, right?
Yes, he will be playing himself in the Yackaveli movie. And then, let's see. I would say number 2, I would have my mom in the movie. And she would probably be playing herself also at a certain... She would have to play the grown-up Yackaveli though, mom, because she, you get older in 2 times. She's not the little fly foxy fox. She's still fly, but she used to be like a little younger. So we'd have to find somebody to play it if somebody did play young, 'cause I would have to probably have my sister play her when she was younger.
All right. I respect from Mama Belly.
Yep. And then the third person I would have probably maybe it's a hard one because it's like I want to go with maybe I will go with one of my Mobb Deep homies, one of my friends from Mobb Deep, which is my boy Ty Nitty, and he would be in the movie and he would be basically playing himself also.
All right.
Because he helped me get started in the music industry.
That's this is sounding like a really good movie. I think we need to
Yeah, it'd be a movie.
Pre-order tickets right now.
For real though, right? That's actually one day you might see a Yackaveli movie, you know, and this wrestling takes me to where I need to go and everything, and I have to show the world like what's all the things I've been through and all the things I've seen as a kid, and I end up wrestling, and I think it'll sell out. I think it'll do good in the box office though, honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now
And I wouldn't.
a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Pizza wise,
Pineapple on pizza.
I love pineapple on pizza. That's my favorite right there, man. It's like,
Alright, so you're pro pineapple.
I love pineapples on pizza. That's why I don't eat pork. So a lot of people ask me, "What you want on your pizza?" Oh, just cheese and pineapples. So you're like, ugh. I'm like, nah, that's the best. So that's the number one. I'm big on that.
Alright. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Pokemon?
What's your spirit Pokemon?
I'm not Pokemon. I really ain't played too much. I don't really know too much about that because my little brother used to play that a lot. And it's funny though how you brought Pokemon up. My buddies, he just had some cards a while ago, and I was just asking, and I guess I was a little older when Pokemon it came out already, so I didn't really get into it and see what was going on. I know there's certain points and stuff like that, and you get pointed for certain attributes or whatever. But it's weird. I wish I'd have kept on talking to my boy about it because I'd have been on point for this question right here. But yeah, I'm not too. I went up too much of a Pokemon. I don't know. I know of them, but I remember I used to see my little brother with Pokemon cards, and he's older now. But I used to always tease him because those cards really had him in it. And I was already a little older, you know what I mean? So I was running around like, yo, why those cards got your attention so much, man? So I used to always go outside, play basketball or something, do something. But it's like I don't know too much about the Pokemon. I'm aware of them though, but maybe I need to get into it. I heard it's kind of a fun game sometimes.
Oh yeah, I was always more of an anime fan, but people still live and die by those video games.
Yeah, they do. I like certain animes also. I forgot the anime. Oh man, Bloodline. I think the last one I was watching was called Tekken Bloodline. I like that right there.
Okay, what's your go-to?
The go-to anime?
Yeah.
Probably the Tekken Bloodline that I was watching. It's called Tekken Bloodline. The guy kind of like reminds me of Yackaveli. You know, he's like a fearless fighter, and he had to go through a lot of training and stuff to get to where he had to get to, and he's fearless. So you got to check it out. It's on Netflix. It's called Tekken Bloodline. Tekken Bloodline. I think it's like maybe 6 episodes. Real dope though. I'm gonna watch it later on tonight probably.
Alright. For this question will be asked on a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual Rock.
I wrestling Rock. Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't be. There won't be no competition, man. It's easy to toss a rock, though. You know what I mean?
Well, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
He wrestled a Rock?
Yes.
That's crazy. I wonder how the spots came out. I wonder, so the only way the Rock could beat him is maybe if somebody threw the Rock adding to something like that. I would use a rock for a foreign object, probably though.
Well, the Rock was the world champion, so he had that advantage over him.
Right.
Canada, you gotta love it. Alright, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
For thug, I don't though. So many meanings running around my way for us, so it's like we never really gave it a meaning, abbreviations like that though, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'll lay it down for you. T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a thug can't spell.
I got the key spell right. I knew it was a catch to it though. That's a good one
Yes.
right there though. That's a good one right there though. Word. I would never got it that well.
Again, love Tracy trying to keep the memory alive.
Yep. Yes indeed. God bless.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, I see myself as a household name, Yackaveli household wrestler. Everybody getting booked everywhere. You know, everybody want to see Yackaveli. Everybody wearing Yackaveli merchandise. I just see myself want to make it to where I've been working to get to in life, and just get to where I want to get to, and get to where I believe, reason why I'm doing things, and I've been doing things for all these years. And I just want to apply all the knowledge and everything I gained to apply everything in a positive situation with this wrestling thing. So 5 years, I see myself as a figure, like a figure that's gonna be motivation figure that people can look at me and say, okay, well he came from this right here, now he's doing that. So they gotta look at me like inspiration that anybody can make it, and when they want to get to where they want to get, you gotta apply yourself and put yourself in the positive circles and the right people, and just keep your mind positive. Don't let nobody steer you wrong, and never let nobody tell you can't do nothing, and you know you can do it. The thing is, they know they can't do it, so they want to tell you that you can't do it because they feel they can't do it, but people can speak for themselves. So that's all I can say. 5 years from now, Yackaveli Da DoN. I said I want to. Hopefully, I'm in it. All elite wrestling by 5 years from now. That's what I'm trying to be.
Alright. And what's a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Yackaveli is all about?
Where can I see the matches at?
What's a match that people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you're all about?
Oh well, shoot, every match I see is progress. I would say, especially right now. So every match Yackaveli have, I'm gonna try to make it exciting enough to where every match would be that match. It's like every match, it got to be aspiring people to watch every match. They don't want to miss anything. They're not gonna see the same things. Would be like I don't want to have the same spots. You'll see different maneuvers from Yackaveli. You'll see the same arsenal, but everything's gonna be different, man. I'm just gonna be a different type of wrestler. Yackaveli Da DoN hit him with multiple ways to wrestle, man. So it's like I just gotta paint my picture and leave my mark in the ring, and let guys know like Yackaveli is here. I'm a force to be reckoned with. Y'all better protect y'all belts. You know what I mean? Everybody say, who belt you coming for? So anybody that got one, man. Like that's.
Alright. And since we're nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Bret Hart.
Worst wrestler.
Skinner.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan.
Damn. If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Mr. Perfect.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is.
Dead.
We also would have accepted taste great on toast.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one.
Yes. Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
I'll say fruit.
That is correct. Tomato logic. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Oh man, you got me, man. You got me with that one. Oh, I think I had to pass that. You got me with that one, man.
A little bit, a medium size, or a lot?
I would say a medium bit.
Alright. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Never.
And that is the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
That's what's up. I appreciate you, man. You know, Wrestling with Entertainment, man. One of the top wrestling podcasts there is, man. Y'all check it out, man.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we're trying to strive for as well. But once again, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Yackaveli Da DoN Dior, which is Yackaveli YACKAVELI_THADON_DIOR. Yackaveli Da DoN Dior. And you can Google that. It'll take you to my Twitter. It'll take you to everything where you can find anything about Yackaveli Da DoN. It'll pop up. You know, the internet world is it's easy nowadays, but that's where you can find me at.
And you're working on merchandise, correct?
Excuse me?
Your merchandise, you're working on it, right?
Yes, I have merchandise out right now, but it's like I'm working on a website for people can order. But like I said, I could take orders if you DM me on my Instagram and let me know what size you want, how many you need. I can always do shippings and ship them out to you and do some type of PayPal payment or anything like that. And I'll do shipping and handling. So it's free shipping and handling. Just let me know you need a shirt, I'll get it to you and just pay for the shirt and everybody. I'll get the merchandise to you. But until then, my website will be up and running soon though.
And you don't need to go looking for those links. All of those links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. If you're listening to this a little bit down the road, then Yackaveli's website will be in the description as well. It will be updated. This video will be updated when that information becomes available. Until then, I mean, you have no excuse. You've been listening to him for a little under an hour and a half. Why a damn short?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a great show, man. I enjoyed myself, man.
Oh, thank you so much.
Can't wait to be on it again.
Oh, absolutely.
Looking forward to being on it again in the future. In the future, definitely looking forward to being on it again.
And we're looking forward to that as well. To all the listeners,
Appreciate it.
thank you for listening. Of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, or on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Fair One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for another incredible interview. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling with E for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and more. You can follow me personally at JameJ993. You can follow Scooter Dust at Scooter Dust, and of course on the remix on YouTube. the only live alternative commentary for WWE PLEs, including myself and Ryan Doss. Alright, Yackaveli, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay? Hello? Oh, Yackaveli, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment.
Okay.
For all very special guests, Yackaveli Da DoN, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling Wit.
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.